Hello and welcome everyone to the next installment of the Portent webinar series. My name is Ariana and I will be your moderator for today's webinar, which is Waste Per Click, 10 Ways You're Losing Money on PPC, with our very own Elizabeth Marston, Senior Director of Search Marketing at Portent, speaker, PPC Whiz, and co-author of Web Marketing All-in-One for Dummies at We would love it if you would join us all in this awesome webinar. There are a couple ways you can do that. You can ask questions within the GoToWebinar questions window, or tweet your questions using the hashtag PortentU. So that's hashtag PORTENT and the letter U. And just so you know, in case you miss out on any of today's webinar or you want to review it later, don't worry, you will receive a follow-up email which will contain a link to this recorded webinar, a SlideShare link to the presentation slides, and a bit.ly bundle for any resources that Elizabeth will be using in her webinar. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Elizabeth. Hey Elizabeth.
Hello. Thank you for having me today, and thank you for everyone for joining us. And as we said, today's focus is on waste per click, or the 10 ways that you're losing money on paid search. It will focus on the Google AdWords platform, but I also snuck in some things about Bing ads as well. I do anticipate that this will be on the shorter end of our PortentU webinars, just because, it doesn't take that long to talk about 10 things. But also what I would like is at the end of the presentation, if you have time before noon, before your lunch, I would like you to go back into your AdWords and Bing accounts and double check on a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today, and make sure that you're not in violation of any of these points that I'm going to bring up today. And so you'll have some time to go in and change your account if you should need to. So without further ado, let's see. This is the PortentU hashtag once again. So those of you that missed the spelling of it or tried to put in YOU, it's just hashtag PortentU, and we'll have those tweet those in, and we'll get those to us at the end of the presentation. And so first things first, what is this all about? There's a lot of money being wasted in PPC, and it really personally drives me crazy. It seriously is a personal pet peeve, and I would like to stop the madness. But first, who am I? Why should you even listen to me? As Ariana was saying, I'm the Senior Director of Search at Portent. That is me. I do write about paid search a lot, and I also like to talk about it, obviously, because I'm here today. I have about 7 years experience in the paid search field now. I actually started as what I thought was a pay-per-click manager, because I didn't even know what it was. So that does go to show you that if you really want to, you can pick this stuff up pretty quick. I work here. This is the Smith Tower in beautiful downtown Seattle. This is not what the weather looks like today, but this is where Portent is approximately located. And I did try and put the little pointy there where the 17th floor is, and I actually think that might be my office there in the corner. So I actually, over the 7 years, I've managed millions of dollars, literally. I've seen millions of dollars, I've managed millions of dollars, I've seen other accounts, and I've owned accounts. And then the one theme that I see across the board is, even if it's a small one-person business and or a large multinational, Forbes 500 company, they make a lot of the same mistakes when it comes to PPC. And these are the kind of what we call the kind of mistakes that no one likes to admit. These are the secret shame, or what I refer to as the secret shame kind of PPC mistakes. These are the kinds that no one likes to talk about when they find them. They just kind of quietly fix them. And that's why at the end of this presentation, I highly recommend that you go and take a look at your account settings and make sure that you're not doing any of these shameful tactics. So without any further ado, here are the top 10 things in Google AdWords that I've seen repeatedly in PPC accounts that only do one thing, and that is they burn money. They really do. And I love this graphic, so I hope everyone else also does. Google AdWords. Number 1, targeting the search and display networks together. So this was an oldie but a goodie, and unfortunately one that I've seen repeatedly. In fact, I was at the SMX West conference just this last March. We had somebody submit their account to be looked at. The account was actually in Spanish, as it was being run in Mexico, but we didn't actually need to be able to speak Spanish in order to see that the search and display networks were being targeted together. The display network was racking up thousands and thousands of impressions and clicks. They had spent 90% of their budget, their monthly budget for this month-long contest that they were running on the display network, and they couldn't figure out why they couldn't get it to perform. And the reason was because they were targeting the search and display networks together. The display network was taking all of the budget away from the search terms, and they just didn't have the money to go for search. So the difference between the two, search would be where you go to google.com and you type in the query and you hit go, and you see the text ads there and someone clicks on them, which is a much more targeted method in acquiring a visitor, versus a display network where the ads are being shown alongside or inside of content, and it's a lot noisier space, and you're trying to pull somebody away from the content that they're already viewing. So even Google has admitted that this is a best practice to target the search and display networks separately. When you go into your settings account here at the campaign level, you need to say not search and display like I have circled here in the red, but you want to have search only or display only. And as I said here in the little box, if you only remember one thing out of all 10 of these for Google AdWords, this is the number one thing. And so yes, I did start out with the big one, so anyone who signed in late, I'm sorry. All right, number 2, you want to start with a new campaign. If you start with a new campaign, do not do enhanced CPC bidding right away. Wait until you have some conversion data first, then you try it. Enhanced CPC is a tool that Google AdWords allows at the campaign level automatically with a new campaign or an old one that tries to use your conversion tracking data to optimize your bids for conversions. You do pick a max enhanced CPC, but what I've seen over time and account over account is the system is not that smart. It is actually too stupid to figure out what a good CPC is for your data because you don't have any data yet. So make sure that you have some data first if you're going to try enhanced CPC. Do not do it on a new campaign. It is one of the most wasteful things that I've ever seen. Number 3, not setting any mobile bid modifiers. So with enhanced campaigns, for those of you that aren't already aware, on July 22nd, Google AdWords will be transitioning all campaigns to enhanced campaigns that have not already been manually transferred over. So if you don't know what enhanced campaigns is, you better write this down and Google it because it is a really, really important thing. Any campaign that is, or any account that's been created ever and has not already been manually switched over, what will happen is computers and your desktops and tablets will be combined into one. So here in this screenshot, you can see them separated out, but you cannot bid separately for them. They will be lumped together. Mobile devices are automatically put at the same bid as computers and tablets within that campaign unless you set a mobile bid modifier. So in this case, we have a +0. Google wants you to do adjustments in the upwards directions. You might actually want to do it in the downwards direction. So if your site is very, very terrible looking on mobile, you're going to want to bid down on mobile bid modifiers. So for example, I do have a client whose site is very, very awful when looked on a mobile device, and in order to counteract rising CPC costs and spend on mobile devices that don't convert, we actually put negative 100% as the mobile bid modifier to keep it from showing as much as possible. So if you have enhanced campaigns, make sure that you have a mobile bid modifier. If you haven't moved over to enhanced campaigns yet, make sure that you start looking at that, because July 22nd, they're going to do it for you. And if they do it for you automatically, this is what it's going to say. It's going to say +0. It's going to inherit what the rest of the campaign has, and you're going to be saying ouch at the end of July. Number 4, no negative keywords. This one is also an oldie, but people repeatedly don't do it, and it makes me very sad. And that is why there's the very ugly looking sad face there, because you have to have negative keywords at some level, either at the campaign level, at the ad group level. You can do it as a single word, or you can do it in a list format. So for those that aren't aware, if you have keywords that are apply to multiple campaigns, so let's say, the cheap, wholesale, inexpensive, clearance, discount kind of list, you can make a list out of that and apply that same list to multiple campaigns. You don't have to add those one by one to every single campaign or ad group that you would like to have them apply to. Use negative keyword lists, use negative keywords. You should go into your account, go into the keywords tab, click the button that says see all search terms, and you'll show you what queries triggered your ads. You will find negative keywords in there if you don't know where to find them. Number 5, clicking on your own ads. This one makes me laugh so much, but I cannot stress how many times I have had clients I had one client who racked up $500 on himself because he just couldn't stop clicking on his ads. He had to see where they would go. Just don't do that. There is an ad preview tool within the AdWords interface that you can do to see what your ad will look like as it shows, and you can check the URL there. Do not click on your own ads, but honestly, Google has made it so you can't really miss. Okay, timeout. Since we're about halfway through the Google piece, I'm going to take a short break. We're going to look at these kittens. Thanks to Katie for putting this together. I'm sure it took at least an hour of well-spent time. We also have my puppy Lumi. Everyone, welcome to summer. Anyway, as I was saying about PPC, number 6, using broad match for all keywords. Now, a lot of people, when they first start PPC, they just put the words in. They don't think about the different match types. The different match types really do make a difference, especially if you're trying to do what we call head terms, or what could be considered like a single word term, or something that's very high traffic, like innovation. You should never, ever, ever bid on innovation by itself. This is terrible. Collaboration. This is a screenshot from something I actually found. These are terrible. You can see the amount of impressions that got racked up, and I didn't even want to reveal the cost on this kind of stuff. And obviously the conversion rate was horrific, because a single word collaboration in a broad match means that it pulled in anything and everything that was even remotely close to a round collaboration. Now, Google will do some filtering as far as relevancy to the account and to the page, but you've basically given them a blank check in which to say, all right, for anything related to collaboration, go ahead and show my ads. And that is also why you see in the quality score column on the right a 1 out of 10, which is about the worst that you can do, other than not showing at all. So do not use broad match for all your keywords. If you're not sure when you start a new keyword list or new ad group, start with the phrase match. Work your way down or up from there. Phrase is a good place to start. Number 7. Okay, this one is a little bit trickier, and not a lot of people know about it. So this is people in my targeted location versus people searching for or about my targeted location. By default, is people in, searching for, or viewing pages about my targeted location. This is not good if you're trying to do any kind of geo-targeting whatsoever at the campaign level. So if you're just targeting the United States for your campaign level, it's okay. It's not great. I recommend people in my targeted location, especially if you're watching the pennies at all. Usually Google's pretty good at the country level as far as targeting. But when it comes to just say the Los Angeles area, you want people in my targeted location, because this setting can trigger then for someone in like Virginia who might be searching for Los Angeles car rentals, which you may or may not want to be advertising to them for, but it does mean that it can show up in Virginia. Maybe perhaps you were trying to segment Virginia traffic separate from Los Angeles traffic, because people searching in Los Angeles are looking more for like a zip car kind of thing, or a replacement car because they got an accident, where someone in Virginia is looking more for a rental car because they're visiting or becoming a tourist. So you may have different goals in which that you're trying to segment these audiences. This default can pull in people from other places around the country as far as that goes. So if you are tight on your money, or you are really trying to really narrow down, let's say that you only deliver to people in the Hollywood area, you want people in my targeted location, especially if that's the only area that you serve. Number 8, ads set to optimize for clicks when you have conversion tracking. So this is the default, optimize for clicks, show ads expected to provide more clicks. You have a couple, as you can see, you have about 4 different options here. If you actually want conversions over clicks, I would recommend optimize for conversions, or the rotate evenly or indefinitely, depending on if you're doing active ad testing. If you're doing active ad testing, you want the rotate evenly. If you are not doing active ad testing, let's say you have your set group of ads, you have 3 ads that you continually depend on, you want to go and you have a conversion-based goal, go with optimize for conversions. Clicks is just the one that ideal for most advertisers is actually pretty much a lie, unless you're just trying to get piles of traffic. If you want if you want conversions, pick optimize for conversions. You don't have to set a separate bid or anything else. You're just telling Google go with the better ad as far as conversion rate. Or if you're doing a test, rotate indefinitely. Number 9, targeting the US and Canada together. This is also a default that applies to new campaigns. So if you have an account that has some history to it and you start a new campaign and all the other campaigns are targeting the United States, Google usually picks that up and puts the default as the United States. If it is a brand new account or you've only got a couple campaigns and you go in and you start a new one, this will show up. They will bundle the United States and Canada together. If this could be something that causes you a lot of money if you don't ship to Canada. If you, for example, we have a client that does ship to Canada, but the shipping rates are basically triple what they are in the continental US. So Canada needs to be separate and targeted separately. And this also goes for maybe you have a Canadian website, so you want to make sure that you have the Canada traffic going to the Canada website and the US traffic going to the US site. And number 10 for Google, ignoring Google Search Partner Network performance. This was one that a lot of people forget about, especially if they're new to the PPC game and they just start digging around. This is not something they often dig around to. So the difference between a Google search and a search partner is that Google search is the google.com. You go there, you type something in, you hit go. That is all things that occur on google.com. Search partners is a nebulous list that we kind of have partial glimpse into out there in the world. So AOL is one, Ask.com is one. These are all places that use the Google search results to display organic results, but also ads, but it is technically not a Google property and it is not a google.com result. So in this case, this is a real example of someone who is using Google Search and Google Search Partners, and as you can see, the Search Partner Network is really driving a lot of their impressions. And in the case of another campaign there, only 23% of their overall traffic is actually coming from Google Search. Now you can see the CTR is pretty low across the board, but at the same time, look at the cost differential between how much you spent on Google Search versus Search Partners. The next level to be, that isn't on this screenshot, the next level to look at would be what is your conversion rate for each one of these, what is your CPA for each one of these. It may be in your best interest to actually disable the Search Partner Network at the campaign level. So when you go into the campaign level and you go into the settings, there is a checkbox essentially where you can undo Search Partners and just target Google Search. So if you haven't ever looked at this, you really should. And in some cases, we have clients that do quite well on the Search Partner Network, and it is perfectly fine to leave them paired together and let them run, and everything's hunky-dory. But in some cases, especially if you're tight on budget, and especially if you can't figure out, maybe your CPC started rising, your CPA just dropped off the face of the earth, this is a good place to come look and see for troubleshooting if maybe all of a sudden AOL decided to like you a lot and show your ads repeatedly. Okay, so pro tip, half of these tips are settings based. You can go fix them right now. And well, actually not right now. You should wait until the end of this webinar and then go do it, maybe in the last 10 minutes or so. But these are a lot of things that you can go into your account at the campaign level settings, at the account level settings, the ad group level settings. Go take a look and see what it is that you can fix. Now, we have our Bing bonus round. So technically the webinar was called 10 ways, but that doesn't take very long, so let's go ahead and get some Bing ad stuff in there too. I mean, they count. There's traffic in there. So number 1, separating search from content network performance. So Bing ads has 3 areas in which you can target, and so I'm going to go, there's a couple of them in here. So the first one is search from content network. Now, once upon a time, the Google Display Network actually used to be called the Content Network. They rebranded it, and that's how we know it today as the Display Network. Very good job, Google. Now, MSN also has the same kind of content network. So these are sites that are belong to the network. They've applied. They show Bing ads on their pages, and they receive a piece of the click if somebody clicks. But you should treat it the same way you would a Google search versus display network and separate them. The search network from the content network. By default, these are all enabled, so you want to uncheck the content network box. If you do want to target content network Bing ads, do a new campaign. The content network on Bing ads is far less traffic than AdWords. AdWords has a tendency to just drive up impressions like crazy. The content network on Bing is a lot less robust in that way, so you won't need to watch it as heavily, but it is something you definitely want to separate because you want to be able to tell the difference in performance between the two. Number 2, All right, separating search from search partner network performance. So as I was saying, there are multiple aspects to the Bing Ads interface. So there's search network, or all search networks, as you can see here, Bing and Yahoo search, Bing and Yahoo syndicated search, and the content network. So we already went over the content network. The one here that I'm talking about is by default, that button there is checked, all search networks, which is Bing and Yahoo search and syndicated search partners. Do not advertise on the search partner network with the same in the same campaign as Bing and Yahoo. So Bing and Yahoo search, owned and operated only, are ads that show on Bing.com and Yahoo.com. And no, you can't actually segment the traffic from between the two. So when an impression or a click shows from Bing and Yahoo, you don't know if it was Bing or you don't know if it was Yahoo. They call it the unified marketplace, and you will never know. It will always be a mystery. But the syndicated search partner network is a little bit different. They have sites, for example, I believe it's PC World belongs to this, is a syndicated search partner. So when you search on PC World, you will see ads within the search results. That is a syndicated search partner. Some of those are more accurate than others. My experience personally has been pretty horrific as far as the targeting capabilities. It's not been as accurate as we'd like to see it. There have been improvements in the recent past, but whatever you do, if you're going to test the syndicated search partner network, separate it out. Do a new campaign, keep it the heck away from your Bing and Yahoo search. Number 3, overlayering the demographic and time of day and day of the week bids. So hang on, let me break that down a little bit because I think somebody's eyes just rolled in the back of their head. So on Bing Ads, you can you can increase bids based on the day of the week and the time of the day and demographics. So you can do all of these things at once, but if you do them all at once, you actually just told Bing Ads, increase whatever my last max CPC is that I've set 40% if you overlayer. So be very cautious about how many of these you layer on at a time, because you could literally throw yourself, 100% or more of your original max bid. So in the case here, on Wednesdays I did plus 10%. And then the other thing is you can only go up in 10% increments. So you can't just pick 5 or 17% or 3% here and there. It's 10, 20, 30, 40. So you can see how that can stack up pretty high, pretty fast. So if you don't have the need to stack up all of these, then don't do it. If you want to test it, that's fine, but just watch out that you're going to be layering that up a good 40, 50, 100% in some cases. If you've got time, and you can also at the same time, if you see these check boxes here, you can uncheck certain times of the day and days of the week as well if you needed to help balance out the layering of the demographics and time of the day. Number 4. Okay, so this is also one that a lot of folks don't know. You actually trump, if you have ad group settings, campaign settings. So if at the campaign level you had location and, your time of day and day of the week and all that kind of stuff set up, and then you went into your ad group and you're like, I think I want to have my ad group show certain times of day that's different. That's great, because it'll trump the campaign settings. But let's say you did that and then you forgot, and you wanted, in that one single ad group, you had changed, the day of the week, the ads not to show, Monday through Friday, and you forgot. You're like, man, I want to turn that back on for all of the ad groups, and you go into the campaign setting and you change it there and you think, oh yeah, it's good. It's not good. You need to go in the ad group and either have it so that it defaults to the campaign settings or matches up with what you want to do. Just know that whatever you set at the ad group can trump what is at the campaign level. And last but not least, number 5 on Bing Ads, new ad groups may default to all locations worldwide. So this doesn't always happen with continued accounts. If you do a new ad group, it may default to just whatever your other ad groups are targeted to, so like in the United States. But if it's brand new, this sometimes comes up where you have all locations worldwide. So make sure that if you create a brand new ad group, that it doesn't say all locations worldwide, but it has the United States, or that you have this little thing underneath here that says this uses your campaign setting. I actually don't trust this too well. If I were you, I would just go ahead at the ad group level and put the United States, just because you never know. Although the ad group, as we were saying, even though it says this uses your campaign setting, with that ad group trumping the campaign setting, I would just go ahead and put it to United States, unless you really want to, advertise to Azerbaijan. Well, that concludes my presentation today on the top 10 ways that you are burning or wasting money in your paid search accounts. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to learn more about me or more about Porton, here's a bit.ly bundle link that has a lot of the trials and tribulations of my paid search career. And last but not least, I have one small shameless plug, which is our PPC Complete management package. So Porton does do paid search. We are looking for partners in clients that are looking for hassle-free and completely portable, built-to-last PPC management and strategic advice when it comes to paid search. If you would like to learn more about PPC Complete, please visit the URL here on this slide. And last but not least, thank you once again. And this is Lumi, the Porton mascot, signing off and wishing you, hoping to see you soon.